Dawn breaks over Velzna like a slow exhalation, pale light pressing through the narrow slits of the temple scriptorium. The smell of cedar oil and dried ink hangs in the cool air. Arath moves through the chamber with the unhurried precision of a man who understands that words are not merely recorded, they are preserved against oblivion. His reed stylus traces the curved, deliberate marks of Etruscan script onto prepared linen, each character placed with surgical care. He catalogues, cross-references, seals. Around him, stacked tablets and rolled texts represent centuries of priestly knowledge, a civilization speaking to itself across time. To the uninitiated, this is a room of silence. To Arath, it hums with meaning. He has spent a lifetime learning to hear what documents say between their lines, a skill that, on this particular morning, is about to be tested in ways he cannot yet imagine. The temple storeroom smells of cedar resin and river mud, the familiar perfume of freshly arrived papyrus from the southern sea. Arath works methodically, his reed stylus tracing inventory marks across each bound roll. Then his hand stops. There, pressed into the fibers of an otherwise unremarkable commercial sheet, are symbols that have no right to exist together. The angular hook of a haruspex liver notation, a sacred Etruscan priestly mark never committed to foreign materials, sits entangled with flowing demotic strokes, Egyptian in form, but subtly corrupted, deliberately disguised. His breath tightens. Someone has threaded two secret alphabets into a single sentence, hidden inside a merchant's mundane cargo. Arath holds the papyrus to the oil lamp. The symbols flare gold in the trembling light, and suddenly the vast, unknowable world beyond Etruria reaches directly into his hands. In the lamplit sanctum of Velzna's great temple, beneath painted walls where gods and omens intertwine, Arath kneels before Zilath Marseille, a man whose word commands the sacred fire itself. The old haruspex studies the papyrus with trembling, liver-spotted hands, his bronze mirror catching the flicker of oil lamps as he reads the hidden cipher a second time, then a third. The air smells of cedar resin and burnt offerings. Silence presses down like stone. When Mars finally rises, his ceremonial robes rustling against the polished floor, something has shifted behind his eyes. Not fear exactly, but its older cousin. It places the papyrus deliberately into the flame and watches it curl to ash. The decision is made without words. One man alone possesses the key, and that man must now sail into the unknown mouth of the world. The Mediterranean swallows him whole. Arath stands at the stern of a Phoenician grain vessel, watching the familiar hills of Etruria dissolve into salt haze, the sacred fires of Velzna extinguished by distance. Beneath his feet, the cedar planking groans and shifts. The air tastes of pitch, dried fish, and an immensity he has no word for. By day he crouches among amphorae of Campanian wine, his stylus moving ceaselessly across wax tablets, tracing and retracing the cipher's geometric patterns until his fingers ache. By night, unfamiliar stars crowd the darkness overhead, constellations his priestly teachers never named. He is a man of sacred ink and enclosed stone chambers, unmade by open water. Yet the symbols do not abandon him. They multiply, revealing new geometries, new intentions. Somewhere ahead, Alexandria waits, and with it, the truth that someone killed to conceal. He steps off the gangplank, and Alexandria swallows him whole. Nothing, not the sacred precincts of Velzna, not the bustling river ports of the Tiber Valley, has prepared Arath for this. The harbor roars with a dozen languages at once. Greek merchants haggling over linen bales, Phoenician sailors invoking gods whose names he cannot pronounce, Egyptian dockworkers chanting rhythms old as the pyramids themselves. The smell alone is a revelation. Salt water, cedar resin, roasting fish, and beneath it all, something sweet and foreign, carried on desert wind from the south. The Pharos lighthouse, still raw and new, towers above everything like a challenge thrown at heaven. Arath clutches his leather satchel of sacred tablets and breathes. He is conspicuous, provincial, and profoundly alone. But somewhere in this impossible city, the coded message has a living author, and he intends to find them. Within these colonnaded halls, 10,000 scrolls breathe in the salt-heavy air of Alexandria. Arath moves carefully, his sandaled feet silent against cool limestone. The letter from his Phoenician contact has opened a door few foreigners pass through. But doors, he knows, open in both directions. Calimenes, the librarian, is a slight man with scholar's eyes that miss nothing, cataloging acquisitions with the unhurried precision of a man who believes knowledge is eternal. Arath studies him the way he studies inscriptions, searching for fault lines, hidden registers, meanings buried beneath the obvious surface. The key scroll rests within arm's reach, misidentified, filed innocuously among commercial correspondence. Arath recognizes its Etruscan cipher markers disguised as Egyptian diacritical marks, and feels the cold certainty that this conspiracy reaches far deeper than anyone in Velzna had imagined. The lamp oil gutters. In the close air of a Alexandrian corridor, thick with the scent of myrrh and river mud, Arath finds himself utterly still, a scribe cornered by a world that trades in silence and vanishing. Nicodemos stands before him, unhurried, dressed in the linen of a man who has never needed to raise his voice. His eyes carry the quiet arithmetic of power. Lives weighed, futures discarded. Arath feels the papyrus hidden against his chest. Every sacred glyph he has spent a lifetime mastering, and understands, with terrible clarity, that knowledge here is not armor. It is currency. The Greek extends an open hand, patient as a tide. In that gesture lives both an offer and a grave. Arath breathes slowly, reaching inward for something older than fear, and begins to calculate. In the lamplit silence of a borrowed room, reed pen moving with surgical precision across fresh papyrus, Arath does not run. He writes. Every ligature deliberate, every cartouche flawlessly rendered in the demotic hand he has studied for weeks, a document that should not exist, authored by a man who officially does not exist. The smell of cedar oil and black carbon ink mingles with the salt breath of the harbor beyond the shuttered window. He understands something the Ptolemaic courtiers do not. Paranoia is a labyrinth, and he who draws the map controls the maze. By morning, the forgery is folded into the correspondence of a court official whose loyalty is already suspect. The machinery of suspicion, so carefully maintained by Ptolemy's administrators, now turns upon itself. But Arath has yet to discover who in Alexandria was watching him first. The merchant vessel pulls away from Alexandria's great harbor in the gray hour before dawn, its linen sail catching a wind that smells of brine and distant cedar. Arath stands at the stern, watching the Pharos lighthouse recede, that impossible tower burning with a fire that never sleeps. He carries no treasure, only knowledge, and the particular exhaustion of a man who has looked too long into the machinery behind sacred things. Below deck, by lamplight, he unrolls a fresh sheet of papyrus, Egyptian papyrus, the very substance that began this. He does not write for the high priests. He writes for the silence. Each symbol he marks is precise, deliberate, weighted, with everything Velzna will never be told. What he chooses to conceal upon his return may prove more dangerous than anything he uncovered in Alexandria. The lamplight gutters against ancient tufa stone. Arath kneels in the tomb's cool silence, chisel pressed to rock with the patience of a man who trusts neither memory nor masters. Above, the high priest receives his careful, measured account, sanitized, diplomatic, safe. But here, beneath the painted procession of the dead, Arath carves the unedited truth. Names, routes, the watermark cipher pressed into Egyptian papyrus, the faces of men who smiled while plotting. Fine limestone dust settles on his forearms like pale snow. He works without haste. He has learned, in Alexandria's labyrinthine courts, that power consumes the spoken word but cannot digest stone. When the last symbol is struck, he smooths oil across the inscription, concealing it from torchlight, preserving it from time. Yet somewhere across the sea, the network he uncovered has already begun to adapt.